and I bet causes chaos in this country as far as the education system is concerned. Because basically what happens is the last time the children have been on holiday is Hanukkah time, which is around December time. And then, instead of finishing school for Passover now, they would have another month of school. And the teachers and the kids start to go insane. It's seriously. And then the other thing that happens is that whatever happens, the summer holidays starts on the 1st of July. So even if Passover carries on right to the end of April, or sometimes into May, then you go back to school and you have 8 weeks of school, and then they're off for another 3 months, 2 months. So it's whatever. It plays havoc. What can I say?
Maybe we should go back to the biblical calendar.
Maybe should. Okay. So basically, we need when the sap comes up, then the grain is whole, the grain is complete, and it can be eaten. I was going to show you something, give you a quote from the Bible. Let me just find it. Hold on. Here. So this is in Egypt, not here, but so it says here in the plague of the hail, okay, which is Exodus chapter 10, verse 31. Now the flax and barley were ruined, for the barley was in the ear, which means that the sap had gone up, the starch had gone up into the actual grains, and the flax was in bud. But the wheat and the emmer were not hurt, for they ripen late. Okay, you can literally physically see the wheat and the barley, the sap has gone up, it's in the ear, which is why I said a 3-day heat wave, once the barley has got ripe, wipes it out. Because those tender little fresh green kernels, they need cool weather, they need a little bit of rain maybe, but at least not a 3-day eastern wind to ripen them. Okay, so we've planted them, they've grown, and sorry, I just got to keep an eye on the time because I tend to get carried away. They've grown, and then don't forget I'm meant to be the one that's doing the sweating work here. And then we have to go out into the field and we have to harvest. Okay, now we would have a scythe. Scythe, I'm never very good at that word. Scythe. We'd have a scythe, you'd go out and cut the grains, and barley, you know, the barley is now, the wheat is at Pentecost, and I like using the image of Ruth and Boaz in the fields, and all of Boaz's men cutting, and Ruth toddling along after them, picking up whatever's left on the floor. So we would cut the barley and the wheat and bring it to here. Okay, this is a threshing floor. This was the heart of the community. Okay, this was a threshing floor, and this is where it all happened. Okay, this is where the parties took place, literally. So again, this time of year, you're not going to see very much, but imagine it's 6 weeks down the line, 8 weeks down the line, and we have brought all our produce to here. We have a pile of wheat and barley. What do we then have to do? Separate
the wheat and the chaff.
Separate the wheat from the chaff. Exactly. The old expressions are the best, and so literally we would have it here. How would we do that? We would start with this, which is a sledge, a threshing sledge. Okay, so if you look underneath, you can see that it's got metal teeth, exactly. Or some of the older ones have holes where they would insert stones, and they would put this on the floor. Okay, where's my strong man? See, I only say strong man now because nobody else seems to be strong in this group. And you would sometimes put a child on it to put weight on it, and it would be pulled again by an and drag it around,
Slightly smaller child.
and it would go round and round and round and round until everything was cut up.
Aren't you missing something?
Yes, please touch it. Stop.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, she's gonna pull. You weren't expecting to pull, were you? Just need a little drink. Okay, so we would go round and round and round. Where did I put my Bible? Where do I always lose everything?
Over there.
Over here.
How'd it get all the way over there?
It has legs.
It levitated. So we go round and round, cutting everything up. Okay, so how many stages have we talked about so far? We talked about the ploughing, the sowing, the harvesting, the
Threshing.
Then exactly, thank you. The next one is the winnowing. So this is such a shame. My favorite time is when I have a great big pile of dried wheat and barley, and I take a big forkful of it and throw it up in the air, and depending which way the wind's blowing, somebody gets covered, normally myself, with a whole pile of dried wheat and barley. But actually the wind did just spring up there. So if we just even imagine a little bit, I'm really not going to get anything here, but basically you throw it up in the air, and the wind would blow away the lighter stuff, which is the skin, the chaff, and the stalks, and the seed, heavy seed, would fall to the floor, and they would just. Thank you very much, Gina. It's very kind. I didn't think that was throwing up in the air. I think that was a direct shot. I could tell the difference. So obviously the threshing floor would be located in the right direction, and I did learn it's countless of times downwind or upwind, to the east or to the west or whatever of the village. The right direction, so the wife who had just cleaned up the whole house wouldn't have to clean it all up again. I can't remember if it's east of the village or west of the village and upwind or down. I can't remember any of that.
Because it depends on where it is.
So, and then the grain would fall to the floor, and then you would have kind of more of the sifting stage. Okay, so now we're on stage 6, right? Stage 6. And this, there would not be a hole in there. And normally they would choose the person. Oh, well, who's a good dancer here? Come on, I want one of the women. Who's good at shaking their hips?
Helen.
Helen.
Heather.
Heather.
Where's Heather?
Oh, I can't.
Helen's got it. Bridget, go.
Okay. So imagine we've got here a whole pile of stuff in here, and we want to separate it all. We want to get more of the chaff to fly away. We want to pick out the stones, so give it a good little toss it up in the air, a good little shake. Yeah, that's what I want. Another one, I like that. Another one. Excellent. Okay. And finally, after all of that, I put my grains now. Finally, after all of that, we would have our grains. Okay?
Now we gotta grind it.
Exactly. Now we got to grind it. So unfortunately, in those days, they didn't have nice Tupperware containers, and you had to grind it on the morning you were going to eat it. Otherwise, it would get bugs and it would go rancid. So basically, this is where we get a nice little quote from the book of. What was the name of the book? Hold on. Proverbs. Okay, where did I think about this? Okay, Proverbs. The book of Proverbs. I don't know if you know, in the book of Proverbs there is a prayer or a passage which is sung every Friday night in a religious Jewish household. I don't know if you've ever heard of this. It's commonly, the first name is called A Woman of Valor Who Can Find, for her price is far above rubies.
Proverbs 31.
And basically in a religious household, you sing it?
My husband sings it to me every Friday night.
And my husband sings it to me every Friday night. In fact, we all sing it together. You want to come and sing it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, but I can sing a little bit. Okay. I don't have as good a voice as Batya. And it basically it describes all the wonderful things that a woman does. All the work she puts in for her household. Okay. Just a couple of lines. אשת חיל נמצא ורחוק מפנינים, מקרבתיו בלב בלב, ושאלה לא אחסה. גמלתו טוב ולא רע, כל ימי חייה, דרשת צמא ופשתים, ותעש בחפץ כפיה. הייתה קוניית זוכר, ממרחק תביא לחמה, ותקם בו עד לילה, ותטרף לביתה וחוק לנורתיה. So it goes on, but the last line that I just read, the last line I just sung is the relevant one that I wanted for now, because it says she rises while it is still night and supplies provisions for her household. Okay, why is she rising while it's still night?
Because the kids are still asleep.
Because the kids are still asleep also, thank you, yes, true mother. And because the husband is going out to work. Where is he going? He's in the heat, he's got to go out early. He's either going out to the farms or he's going further with his flock. And what does he need to take with him? Food, his bread. So she's got to get up while it's still night, because in order to grind a good pound of flour, you're going to need a good hour's grinding. So that's why it's still dark while she's grinding. And then we would grind it. So basically we would bring the grains to here and put them into a grinder, which is basically a heavy stone on top of another stone with a hole in the middle. And listen to this sound. That is a beautiful sound. And it is grinding and grinding, and after a good hour we would get some kind of flour coming out of there. It's an interesting thing. Now, I just want to detract a bit just to talk about that sound, because that sound is one of the many descriptions in the book of Jeremiah. And I call it when Jeremiah is talking about all his doom and gloom. Doom and gloom of Jeremiah. So where is that sound related to? Let's see if I can find it. Hold on. Okay, right, exactly. So we have here, and I will banish from them the sound of mirth and gladness. Jeremiah chapter 25, verse 6. The voice of bridegroom and pride, and the sound of the mill and the light of the lamp. This whole land shall be a desolate ruin. When you no longer hear the sound of the mill, that is a people at war. That is a people that cannot stand in peace, grinding their flour. When you don't have the light of the lamp, there is no olive oil production. There is no olive oil being made. And if you go back a little bit previously in Jeremiah chapter 2, we have his description relating to the water, the cistern compared to the well. The well has got the living waters. We often hear of faith in the Lord as being the living waters. Here he says, "So my people have done a twofold wrong. They have forsaken me, the fount of living waters, and hewed them out cisterns, broken cisterns which cannot even hold water." What is a broken cistern after what we saw there? What happens to a cistern that is broken and can't hold water?
leaks.
It leaks. Exactly. The water has seeped out, like the faith has seeped out. It no longer works. It no longer holds the water, which is actually when we say that Joseph was thrown into a pit without water, he was actually thrown into an ancient water cistern. Okay, so I just wanted to touch on that with that. So we have ground up, we have made the flour, and then we have to knead the flour, and then we have to stick it in the oven, and finally, 11 steps later, we have bread. I am sweating. Okay? You guys are sitting there in your little air-conditioned hut there, very pleasant. I am sweating.
No, where's the bread? Bring it in.
So I think we can very much relate to by the sweat of our brow. We made bread. Busy today, aren't they? And there was one more thing I was going to say.
By the sweat of our brow.
Yeah, I said that, and then I was going to say something else. We made the bread, and
We eat the bread.
we eat the bread.
That's it.
Oh, I know what I was going to say. So I don't know if you know, but I understand that you don't travel on the Sabbath.
Right.
Right. So do you know that there are 39 things you can't do on the Sabbath?
39? No, they wouldn't have that.
Okay. So there is a concept of the 39 types of work. There were 39 types of work that were done in the desert to put up the tabernacle and to eat.
Meher.
What? Okay, and to
Love
eat
all that.
basically, and to eat and to prepare your food. So the 11 steps we talked about are 11 of those 39 prohibitions. So any of those 11 steps to do, if I am modern day to keep the Sabbath, I can't do any of those 11 steps. That is part of the 11 stages that I can't do in order to honor the Sabbath. You're allowed to eat. It's not one of the processes. That was the final results. You're allowed to eat.
And you must drink.
Okay, we are going to head back to the bus. We're going to finish up our tour here. And if there's any questions, we've got the whispers. I'm happy to answer them on